This is it, you guys. This is the end. This is the time for answers. All right, where to start? Let's look at my previous theories. My first video on this channel came out when it was unsure whether or not Clancy was truly dead, as Scaled and Icy indicated, and I stomped my foot down and proclaimed that Clancy could not be dead, or at least not permanently so. I established the theory that Clancy exists in the Dema universe as a representation of hope. I made this argument through references to feng shui, like from No Chances, Dema, and the letters written by Clancy on Dema.org. Another important theme throughout all of my videos is the idea of destruction as a form of creation. I applied this idea to the character Clancy by assigning him as the Christ figure of the whole story. When I say Christ figure, I am describing a trope in which characters die or are destroyed, but then eventually resurrect as a better version of themselves. Right now, this overarching theme summarizes my theories pretty well. Back then, and even up to now, I do believe that Breach will reveal that Clancy is a Christ figure, and we are about to witness the culmination of that path. Of course, we also have the overarching theme of the cycle that is living with mental illness and addiction. A big part of this is the amount of denial present in the discography, especially, of course, in the context of Scaled and Icy. Thanks to how the cycle operates, we are also made familiar with the concept of acceptance. This topic appears in different ways, one being the appearance that the bishops are taking more control of Tyler and or Clancy as a person, represented by the increasing darkness of Tyler's shirts in certain concerts. Another theme I expanded upon was that of control. As we know, Ty Clancy sings that he created the world of Dema to feel control, or the world of Trench if you want to be specific. I described the theory that Keons is the bishop of control, and why that isn't a good thing. Tyler's need for control is what blocks him from acceptance. This is all part of the cycle of the failed perimeter escapes. As I mentioned earlier, this is another opportunity to represent destruction as a form of creation, which is also spoken of in Tyler's favorite movie, Donnie Darko. Then there's the Torchbearer. Now we begin with the new final theory question of the lore of Dema, Trench, and 21 Pilots. Today we were given the video I Am Torchbearer, and Josh reads from a letter or journal entry about Clancy and the war between the bishops and the banditos. I don't know if I'm the only one here who thinks that enough has been said about the Torchbearer. All I want to say is that his existence goes all the way back to self-titled. A car, a torch, a death is his introduction as a character who makes big plans and intends for Tyler/Clancy to carry them out. He's the true mastermind of it all. If you think you need a warm-up or catch-up on my theory videos, feel free to make your way to the playlist I'll link in the description. Now it's time for today's final topic and theory, the kaleidoscope. So, if you've been watching, you'll remember that I did talk a bit about the idea of kaleidoscopes while analyzing the Contract music video. I have gone back to the Contract and found a lot of visual examples of this. I also noticed that some of these kaleidoscope-like images feature exactly 9 of what image is being refracted. Since then, I have been reviewing the themes of the lore and how they relate to kaleidoscopes, as well as what this points to. Originally, the idea of kaleidoscopes came to me while watching the Contract because of the lines in Holding On to You. They say, You are surrounding all my surroundings, twisting a kaleidoscope behind both of my eyes. This was the only indicator I needed to be prompted into looking more into the idea. And wow, I found way more than I expected to. The kaleidoscope was invented in 1816 by Sir David Brewster. Brewster was a scientist specializing in optics and, get this, polarization. One of the biggest parts in my theory up to now is the idea of being in denial. Whether someone is in denial over addiction, control, grief, they are all matched with one of our bishops, Lisden. Lisden got his name from the song Polarize, and it's specifically from the line, "All I feel is denial." This is why, and I believe most others also, define Lisden as the Bishop of Denial. Lisden is more prominent than some of the other bishops, especially in the Scale-Genesi era with the live stream concert back in the day. Being in denial is a huge factor in recovering from difficult mental stressors and habits. It exists boldly, especially in older 21 Pilots albums with things like "That's Denial Number 4." We also are presented with the concept of denial when we listen to Vignette, where Tyler very outwardly says the word denial multiple times. So, what does Lisden have to do with these kaleidoscopes, or with the contract itself? Well, in the real world, denial of contract might in some ways come from a place of rebellion. To deny a contract is to refuse to act under its bounds. If Tyler or Clancy is refusing to operate under a contract, it could easily have been one made in the wrong place. Shaking hands with the dark parts of my thoughts, to deny a contract made with the bishops is to make the first act of destroying everything that Dema stands on. Let's talk more about the invention of the kaleidoscope. Sir David Brewster was not only a scientist, but a deeply religious person who wrote extensively on the idea that science and religion are not enemies and that they should be used together in order to understand the world and all of creation. This fits well in what we have seen from the band or Tyler regarding religion. Brewster felt that light stimulated the imagination, most especially within a kaleidoscope. So as we see, there are many themes that connect Brewster and 21 Pilots. He considers how seeing forms of life are extinguished and then new forms come to be gives a deeper emotional, moral, and possibly spiritual understanding. This goes back to the idea of destruction leading to creation, the cycle I've spoken about before. Let's talk about that more. A kaleidoscope embodies the same principle. Every twist destroys one pattern, but instantly births another. Nothing is permanent, but nothing is lost. The kaleidoscope itself is a visual representation of cycles. Mirrors reflect repeating shapes. The glass pieces shift and then they return or repeat or morphs. Brewster saw that as a metaphor for life cycles, life, death, renewal. Also, just a quick interruption here, the image that makes the new logo for Breach repeating in a circle very much looks like something that you could see inside a kaleidoscope. So now that we've talked about kaleidoscopes, their presence in the latest videos and how they point to the same things we have discussed for years, let's talk about The Line. A song which, in my opinion, has mostly gone ignored since its first release. Specifically the line, "I can feel the light shine on my face." What light is he singing about here? For me, all I can picture is Tyler or Clancy being laid into a coffin, lower down, watching as the neon gravestone ahead of him shines. Doomsday. But we haven't seen the final form he mentions yet. I think that most of us are in agreement that if Clancy were to die, perhaps in a self-sacrificial way, just like the glorious Gon and Dema, the bishops would celebrate. They'd wave flags and proclaim his name as a hero for vialism. Everything that Tyler said in Neon Gravestones comes true. But Clancy is so very used to cycles, especially the cycle of transformation, like what we see in butterflies, as I spoke about in a previous video. He sees that neon light because he isn't truly gone. Perhaps he's been destroyed in some way, but he's coming back, and he's coming back stronger. All of these neon gravestones, they won't shine anymore, or at least the individual lights will no longer be distinguishable. Polarization is about to occur. To put it simply, polarization occurs when light bounces perfectly at a certain angle so that it is concentrated into one wave. This is a concept that the creator of the Kaleidoscope discovered. So, what if these kaleidoscopes are just one part of the battle? What if that battle occurs when Clancy rises? What would happen if the ability to perform psychokinesis that Clancy has is something even greater, something that's been hidden? Shall we take a look at another song? Chlorine. What is chlorine? Well, in the literal sense, it's an element on the periodic table. It produces greenish or yellowish light when it's electrified. Whereas for neon, the color that it shines is normally red or orange. Do those colors stick out to you? Chlorine is the color of the banditos. Sometimes it's a color that bishops can't even see. Meanwhile, neon glows the same colors that are associated with the bishops and Blurryface. Is this a coincidence? That's up for you to decide. I think it's possible that the final weapon to defeat the bishops might have something to do with this, but we'll see. That's really all I can say about Breach or City Walls to you guys. I don't know what this final battle will truly look like, or if there ever will be one. All I know is that what I hope for is the power of hope, destroying the forces of evil and darkness. I'll sum it up for one final time here. Clancy will go through self-sacrifice in order to defeat the bishops. Destruction as a form of creation will take place. Clancy and/or Tyler will return. They will shed their fears, leaving them on the floor, morph to something greater than what they were before. Tyler will pass through denial and make his way into acceptance of the dark parts of his life and mind. This is how the people of Dema and Banditos are finally saved. They finally win. Or none of this is even close. Maybe that acceptance leads to something greater than what we prepared for. Maybe what looks like a loss, well, this time is truly a win. I can't believe I'm saying this, but these are my last words on the subject. That is, it's my last words of prediction. To be honest, I have no idea if I'm right about any of this. This is just what's in my head. Just like how all of this is in Tyler's. This is it. Get pumped. Peace.